Okay, so in this masterclass, we're going to talk about Cumbrian lamb, one of my favourite cuts. It's quite an expensive cut of meat, so you know, for me, the sous vide process makes it safer. We can't overcook using the sous vide process, so we know we're going to get the outcome that we set out at the beginning. So what I mean by that is we're going to discuss temperature control, so that you can get exactly what you're looking for by following this simple step-by-step recipe. It's a simple recipe. A lot of my recipes are simple. I think simplicity is the key. It's all about the ingredient. You know, we've got a beautiful piece of lamb here. We want to showcase that with things that are going to enhance its flavour. So it's really simple. What we're going to do is make what I call a compound flavour butter. Obviously, when you're using the sous vide technique in the professional world, we'd add some liquid to the pouch, but you know, a domestic sous vide cook is going to use a tabletop sealer like this one, and that is going to hinder the amount of liquid that can place in the pouch. So to counterbalance that, we're going to make a compound butter. So it's really simple. We're going to put the flavors of fresh rosemary, black garlic, we've got some ground black pepper, some Maldon sea salt, we've got a lemon that we're going to put some lemon zest in just to bring some freshness, helps cut through the fat at the end, and some butter to hold it all together. So the first part of the process is going to be sealing the lamb. Now, I like to seal the meat before it goes in the pouch, and it's all about flavour. Two reasons. One, we've got quite a thick fat line on the lamb, and what we want to do is render some of that fat down. But more importantly, we want to give the lamb some character before it goes in the pouch. I think it's important to sort of talk about what goes in the pouch has to influence the food. Once we pull vacuum, whatever's in the pouch with the lamb, it's going to be as close as it possibly can be to that lamb. So it has to influence the lamb. So you can use any flavors. This is a really simple process, but you know, if you wanted to spice it up, you could put some masala paste or some Indian spices on the lamb. It just depends on what you want to do with the lamb at the end. We want to keep it quite natural. We want to put flavors in there that are going to make this lamb sing. So let's just crack on and I'll show you how to do it. So first and foremost, the lamb's been French trimmed down the bone, so nice and easy. I bought this from the butcher. Spend the best amount of money that you can. You know, make the investment on the ingredients. The most important thing about anything when you're talking about culinary is the ingredients. The ingredients are key. So invest in the ingredients and the sous vide process will take over the rest. What it's going to do is it's going to enable you to have the perfect result every time. So we're going to cut this lamb in half. You can see how beautiful that piece of meat is. I like my lamb medium rare to medium. That's my preference. So the chosen cook temperature is going to be 58 degrees. That's going to give us a really nice medium finish, which you'll see at the end. If you want it a little bit less cooked than that, you want it medium rare, drop the temperature down to 55, 56. For me, I don't like to go any rarer than that, but you know, you guys can do if you want to, you know, drop it down to 55, 54. That's going to give you a really rare finish. That's your choice, and that's the great thing about sous vide. Well, you have to almost reverse the recipe. You have to think about, what do I want at the end of the process, and then we'll start by adding those. So adding those flavors in at the beginning. So the first thing I'm going to do, as I said, I'm going to turn on the induction hob. Going to get some heat in the pan. I'm going to cross hatch the fat. So I'm going to take the knife and just put the markings on the fat. You don't have to do this. It's an aesthetic thing. It makes it look delicious. It makes it look really nice. But more importantly, it helps the fat render the process. So what we need to do is seal the fat. We're going to take some of the fat out of it. We want to get a nice roasted flavor. This is going to be a roast piece of lamb, so I want to add the roast flavor at the beginning, but also at the end as well. So we're going to seal this piece of meat twice, once at the beginning for flavor and once at the end to create a nice caramelization and also the crispy fat that we're going to enjoy to eat. So nice and simple. Just nice and carefully, just run a nice sharp knife through the fat. And we're not going to put any seasoning on it at the moment because we're going to put the seasoning in the butter, and the butter is going to go in the pouch with the lamb. And remember, what goes in the pouch has to influence that lamb. So the pan's nice and hot now. I've got a little bit of smoke coming. Nice dry pan, no oil needed. There's enough oil in the skin. And just going to pop it down. I'm going to hold it down, and we're going to give it 3 to 4 minutes on either side. In the meantime, we're going to take a few of our ingredients. So we'll start with the rosemary. I'm going to take it off the stem, and I don't want to waste this. There's plenty of flavor in there, so I'm going to throw it in there. We're going to get the flavors rolling now, so we get the best outcome at the end. So rosemary's a very strong herb. You do have to be a little bit careful with the herbs. Don't go overkill, don't go crazy. What you place inside the pouch tends to intensify by around about 6 times. So what you don't want is 6 times the strength of too much rosemary, because it's going to overpower the beautiful flavors of the lamb. I'm just going to turn the lamb now so you can see. We're getting a nice crosshatch first of all, but we're also getting the rendering. You can see the oil in the pan. And just notice, leave it, don't touch it. You don't need to shake the pan, just let it happen. Okay, to the rosemary, I'm going to add some fermented black garlic. You don't have to use fermented black garlic, but I would advise not to use too much raw garlic inside the pouch. 6 times the strength of raw garlic is really, really garlicky, so just go nice and soft. And what we're going to do, we're going to add some salt. We're going to add some pepper. I'm going to take the knife and I'm just going to, nice and easy, fingers on the top so they're out of the way, and we're just going to run the knife nice and gently. Take time, there's no rush, we've got to wait for the lamb anyway. Nice and therapeutic. Just stand and we're going to chop. Just going to go back to the lamb. You can see now we've got a nice colour. That's great. We're really happy with that. It already looks delicious, right? But what we want is the perfect pink interior. So again, don't forget the sides. We want to do this process relatively quick because the whole idea of the sous vide process is that we get the perfect interior. So we don't want to leave it in the pan too long, but we want to leave it in there long enough to get some character, to build up layers of flavour. That's what cooking's about. You know, if you've got a blowtorch, you can use a blowtorch on this. The best way is in the pan for me, but a blowtorch does work as well. Okay, and now I've got that nice and sealed, I'm just going to turn the induction hob off. I'm just going to leave it. We need to let it cool down before we seal the pouch. Should never really seal anything under vacuum that's hot. It can affect all sorts of different things in a chamber backpacker like this one behind. It can affect the oil, it can emulsify the oil and break the machine, so you just need to be a little bit careful about what you put in. Back to the garlic. Now if you've got a little blender, use a little blender, that's fine. All we're doing is amalgamating all these ingredients together, nice and simple. So we've got the garlic, we've got the salt, we've got the pepper, we've got the rosemary, and now we're just going to chop, chop, chop. Again, like I say, if you've got a small blender, use it, no problem at all. I like to do it the old school way. Going to take a lemon. Just use a little microplane, just zest it. Again, like I say, the lemon's going to add a little bit of freshness. Just lightens up the dish at the end. But we don't want to use the juice. The juice will start a cooking process, which we don't want to do. So just the zest. There's plenty of flavour in the natural oils. Added the butter, and again, okay, so what I'm going to do now, obviously the compound butters can last really well in the freezer. They can last up to a week in the fridge. So there's no reason why this element can't be made well in advance, wrapped in some greaseproof paper, popped away in the fridge or the freezer, and then you can just take it out as and when you want to use it, which is, you know, the basics of cookery. It's about the preparation. So really simply, we're going to take our butter, we're going to place it on the greaseproof paper, and then we're going to make a nice little sausage. And there you've got your black garlic, lemon and seasoned butter for the lamb. We pop it away in the fridge, put it in the freezer, and then when you need it, when it's refrigerated, you can just cut straight through the paper and then you've got a nice little round of compound butter for each piece of lamb, and then we'll place it under vacuum. So we're ready to put the lamb in the pouch. Now you can see here we've got a 28 centimetre roll, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, and a tabletop sealer. There is a little difference between normal pouches. These are a sustainable pouch, which means they are compostable, which is a great breakthrough, to be honest, with sous vide. We all know that the world's using too much plastic. So the fact that we've now managed to bring in a sustainable compostable pouch is fabulous news, and you know, we're really super happy about it. So it's really simple process. We're going to take whatever size bag we need. We're going to be creating our own, so we're going to need to seal one side and then cut through to ensure that we've got enough space in the pouch. So it's a really simple process. We're just going to cut through the pouch with some scissors or a knife. Going to place the pouch over the sealing bar and into the cavity chamber. And we need to seal this, so we're just going to press seal. Let the machine do the work. You can see now we've got a nice tight seal. And now we've got our pouch. So what we're going to do, I always advise people to just turn the top of the pouch over. This is just to ensure that we don't get any liquid or any fat on the sealable part. That's really quite important because we've got to ensure that we've got a great seal. So we've got our pouch ready. We're going to take our lamb now. And there's no reason why we can't put 2 in here. You can see that the butter's on there. Place the second one in. And then we've got our pouch ready to seal. Again, same process, but this time we're going to use the vacuum. So we're going to place the open side of the pouch in the machine, close it down. We're going to press auto vac, and again, like the machine, do the work. You can see it's taking out the air. We want to take out as much air as we possibly can. The reason for that is so that we're in control of the environment inside the pouch. Any airborne bacteria that are possibly present are going to be pulled out at this point. And we've got a full vacuum seal. And there you have it. 2 nice racks of lamb, in essence, ready for the oven. You can do 2 things at this point. If you want to do this for a dinner party and you want to cook it a la minute to order, that could be popped away in the fridge. You know, it'll keep up to 3 days from now, and you can drop it in your desired temperature for the right amount of time at the point, or you can do what I would suggest is the best way. We're going to cook these racks of lamb now, and then at the end of the cooking process, you can do 1 or 2 things. You can take it from the pouch, pat it dry with a bit of kitchen paper, pan fry again and serve. Or if you're not ready to eat it at this point, you can take it from the bath, place it in ice water, chill it right down, pop it away in the fridge, and because the product is under vacuum, you can have 7 days worth of shelf life until that is opened. At the point of service, you take the lamb again, drop it back into the bath for an hour, hour and a half, bring it back to temperature, and then caramelize in a pan to finish. So there's a couple of different options that you're going to take. We're going to cook it now. So we're cooking ours at 58 degrees. And drop it in the bath. And it's going to take 2 hours to cook. Basically what's going to happen is the temperature from the water, which we set at 58 degrees, and it's going to be 58 degrees all the way through the lamb, from the outside right to the core. And the most important part of this is ensuring that the time that it's in the bath is long enough to reach core temperature, so the heat of the water to get all the way to the center. If you're not sure, add another hour on. It's not going to have any detrimental effect to the lamb at all. A lot of people think that you can overcook, but the window of failure is so different. So if you think that 2 hours isn't going to achieve that core temperature, then put it in for 3 hours. It's not going to, it's only going to get better. The longer the portions of meat are in the bath, the more tender they become. So as a rule of thumb, if we're using a particularly tough cut of meat like brisket, we'd still be cooking it at 58 degrees to achieve our medium to medium rare finish. But the longevity of time, because it's a tough cut, helps break the collagen down in the meat. So, you know, we might cook a piece of brisket for 24 hours, whereas these are prime cuts of meat, we're going to cut them for 2 hours. Okay, so let's take a look at the lamb. Out it comes. Really simple process. What we're going to do is get a plate with a little bit of kitchen paper on there. We're going to cut the seal so we can get inside the pouch. We're going to take the lamb out. We're just going to pop it down on the kitchen paper. This is really important because what we need to do now, we've taken the lamb all the way through the process of sous vide, and we know that we've got the final outcome that we want, but you can see just on the top there, that's the herb butter So that's the flavour that we placed inside the pouch. And now we want to get some crust on this lamb. So we really want to fire it up and get some heat. So onto our pan. Going to turn it up nice and high. And we want to be listening for that sound. We'll try again. If you don't hear that sound, your pan's not hot enough. So we're going to place both the pieces of lamb in there. And just let it sit. You don't need to do anything now, except just apply a little bit of pressure. Again, you want to get that fat nice and crispy. So just apply a little bit of pressure just to ensure that the fat is in contact with the base of the pan. Once we've got that nice colour, get some more nice caramelization. Really important this is where the flavour comes in. Now if you want to blast it through a hot oven for 3 to 4 minutes, put the oven on high. Blast it in there 3 to 4 minutes, then take it out and let it rest a little bit. You've still got to let this meat rest ever so slightly. Just take your time. Just take your time. Just work your way around all the sides, all the sides. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to place it in a really hot oven for 3 to 4 minutes. But we're going to do it on the skin side down. And the reason why we're doing that is because we want to just ensure that we're getting a right amount of heat to this area here. You can't sear that, so we're going to use the heat of the oven to make that happen. We're just going to let them rest. Let them rest on there now while we prepare the vegetables that are going to go with the dish. And just let the protein strands just relax ever so slightly. Only 3 to 4 minutes. Just let them rest. Okay, so now we're ready for the carve. So let's bring in a plate. And what I want to show you is just how well, delicious, nicely cooked all the way through. Look at it. It's beautiful. It's tender. It's delicious. It's flavoursome. It's perfect. Give it a go. Serve it with your favourite vegetables.